Hey guys, Zebub here, and this is the 1000 subscriber Q&A special. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and asking questions. It means a lot that you guys care, like at all. So I was kind of worried that the Q&A would be a flop and I'd get like 2 questions, but we actually got a good amount of questions and I'm excited to answer them. And for anyone that subscribes to the channel just to hear the stories and doesn't want to hear me yap, a new video will be out soon. So thank you for your patience. But yeah, let's just get straight into the questions. And yeah, this is my first time recording with free form without a script, so sorry for everything. First question, what does Zebub mean? This actually is super cool. I'm glad that I finally get to explain this. So Zebub comes from the name Beelzebub, one of the 7 demon princes of gluttony. Now, I picked this name because the mascot of my channel, or if you look at my PFP, is Zebub, obviously. And he is kind of like an angel that goes from dimension to dimension collecting scary stories and whatnot and kind of hoarding them, because in my mind gluttony is more of the overconsumption of anything, including media. And I was like, okay, perfect. So overconsumption of horror media, Zebub. And I figured it was just a good theme for the channel. And like every time there's a second person story, like with the Wanderer's Library and some of the Backrooms videos, that's Zebub telling you directly himself, like, about things. And I just thought that it was kind of a cool theme to go with for the channel. Bit unique from other creepypasta narrators that do the same thing. I don't know if I'm gonna have an overarching story, I doubt it, but I just figured it'd be very unique and different from, say, the Dark Somnium or Mr. Creepypasta, everyone else. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind Zebub. Next question. What do I record on? Okay, so in terms of microphone, I use a mono gaming USB microphone, Gamerwave DMG 20S. I hope that answers the question. It's really good, actually. I got it for like $40. I do plan on upgrading sometime this winter when I have the money for it, so hopefully we can get even better quality, but for right now I feel like it works pretty good. As far as editing software that I use Filmora, and then I use CapCut for any voice effects that I use in my videos, or like if there's any crazy editing in the video, which is mostly just the YouTube shorts, or if there is like music and sound effects, I do all that in CapCut. It makes it so much easier. Before this year I was using iMovie, so we've really moved up in the world in terms of the editing software that I use. Which goes nicely into the next question, which is, how do I do these? I'm just curious because I'm considering doing my own and all. Okay, so basically what I do is I get a story, record it on Filmora all the way, and I do a little bit of sound editing and tweaking on there. Then I export it to high quality, put it over to CapCut, and do all my music, sound effects, voice filters if I have to, all that other stuff on my phone. I know that's inefficient, but it is actually really easy for me to do and allows me to edit when I'm not at home, sitting in front of my computer, which is fairly often. I work full-time. So this is actually very useful for me, and I haven't gotten too many complaints about it. I know there's better ways to do it, but I'm not going to do them. So yeah, outside of that, it really is just me recording, adding sound effects, adding music, voice filters, and then voice acting. The process itself is very simple. It just takes a really long time, and sometimes is very, very draining, especially the editing process. Good lord, the editing process. But yeah, that's how I do that. Next question, do I have a Discord or a Discord server for my community? I was thinking about opening up a Discord at around 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, that's not really something I want to do right now, but in the future I will definitely open up a Discord server, and hopefully I will also have a lot more free time to run it, if that makes sense, because right now my schedule looks like go to work, come back home, work on YouTube, go to sleep, go to work. It is very much filled to the brim right now. But in the future, maybe one day, I'd like to open it up. So yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. I think it's something in the future I will do, but as of right now, no. Next question. I see you credit writers that you've narrated. How much of what you narrate do you write yourself? And do you intentionally search out pieces, or do you read enough that it's not a problem? For the last question, it's a bit of both. I do intentionally search out pieces if I haven't read one recently that I liked. Other than that, I most of the time I spend a lot of time on the Reddit that I get these creepypastas from, to the point where I'll just read one and I'll be like, I like this one, I want to narrate it. Other than that, yeah, sometimes I do search them out though. In terms of how much I've written, 4 videos on this channel. All the stories in the journal entries or personal journal, I've written those, and then the Angelic Monster Hunter, I've written that one. Outside of that, I'm working on more. I should hopefully have another one done that I will do with my good friend Artemis in October. Outside of that, it is more or less me finding other stories. It is surprisingly hard to write stories for yourself. It's not hard, it's more so I don't have the free time really to do it, and I wish I did, because I thought the video that I did and the story that I did actually turned out pretty well. I was nervous at first, and then I listened to it and I was like, that wasn't so bad. It definitely could have been better. I wrote that when I was still in high school, like last year, but like, you know, it wasn't so bad. Hopefully my next story can be better, but you know, I'm working on it. Definitely working on it. But as far as how many, not many, because that's a very time-consuming thing. And like I said, I work full-time and then do YouTube work the other half of the time. Or I'm playing Cyberpunk. Like, I really don't have that much time to write. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Next question. What got you to start narrating these stories? And what is your favorite horror media? It can be creepypasta, book, movie, or game. Anything. Okay. This is a good question. What started me narrating these stories? I read a lot. I read quite a bit, actually. Always have my entire life. And growing up, I was like, I like reading, but I don't necessarily have the time to read all the time. Wouldn't it be great if I could have someone read the stories to me? And then I found out that people don't do that much for internet stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it myself. Be the change in the world that you want to see, people. So yeah, that's basically what got me to start doing it. I've been reading stories on the internet for 7 years. Most of them are privated though, because those were bad. I started this when I was like 12. So the ones that aren't from like 3 years ago are pretty bad, and even some of those aren't the best. So that's kind of what got me started. And I also haven't always been doing horror. I've done all different types of stories. That's what got me started. In terms of favorite horror media, I'd say I really like analog horror, actually. It's beautiful. I think it's the internet's next best thing since creepypasta. Now, yeah, there's a lot of bad ones, but there's also a lot of good ones, just like creepypasta. And I think it's great. I like analog horror. Creepypastas are great. Movies are great. I think games, actually, are some of the best media to portray horror, because they let you be involved with it, but also has its own story. So it's it's good for immersion, I think. So I really like games in terms for horror as well. But yeah, next question. What was the first story or movie that really got you into horror? Also, do you have a favorite narrator that you take inspiration from? My favorite movie is The Thing. That movie is amazing. Body horror and cosmic horror mixed together is magnifique. It's beautiful. I love it so much. It got me into horror. That, and then the Alien franchise and Alien vs. Predator both really got me into horror. I thought they were so cool and also terrifying at the same time. So those really got me into horror and like looking more for horror. That and Five Nights at Freddy's. So thank you for that. Outside of that, I think my favorite narrator is probably, it's hard. It's really hard because Mr. Creepypasta and the Dark Somnium, I have at like the same tier. Mr. Creepypasta I've been listening to my entire life, low-key. I can't remember a single time when I was on YouTube and I haven't been subscribed to his channel. And I've had at least 2, maybe 3 different YouTube accounts. So yeah, Mr. Creepypasta has been a big part of my life. And then the Dark Somnium I found my junior year of high school, and he is just a phenomenal voice actor and video maker. And he makes his own music. Like, when it comes to inspiration, the Dark Somnium inspires me so much. Being compared to him several times in my comments has been like the craziest feeling ever. When it comes to like the 2 best in the game, in my mind, it's those 2. They are amazing. Subscribe to them, for real. Next question. What's your favorite creepypasta? Mine's probably Jeff the Killer. Not because it's necessarily good, it's not, but because it scared my younger self way too much and it was my first foray into the genre. I feel you on that one because my favorite, I wouldn't say favorite, but my first one was Sonic EXE. If you guys know anything about Sonic EXE, you know that as a kid, oh, that's terrifying. Your favorite video game character coming into the real world and being evil and bloody and hyper-realistic? Monstrous. But in reality, it's so goofy. It's the goofiest creepypasta I've ever seen. So I understand what you mean with Jeff the Killer. But yeah, Sonic EXE was my first one. In terms of my favorite, oh, that one's tough. That one's tough because I have a few different favorites in terms of like creepypasta, I guess. But as of right now, Tales from the Gas Station is amazing. It has a perfect blend of comedy and horror and confusion for me to really be in love with that entire series. That and Lonely Accounts from a Broadcast Station are amazing. I love those 2 so much. I can keep going though, because any work that Dale Drake puts out is top 10 out of 10 horror. It is amazing. City of Midnight, Broken Messiah, Hellbound, The Masterson's Chronicles, those are all amazing, and I would seriously recommend that you guys check them out. Check out Dale Drake in general. It's so good. It's like actually mind-boggling how great his stories are. Although if we're leaning out of the supernatural and more towards the human, like people are scary creepypasta, I'd say 10 Little Scumbags is amazing. I love 10 Little Scumbags and My Best Friend is Trying to Ruin My Life. Both of those stories had me at the edge of my seat, and I think it really goes to show the depths that humans can go to be deplorable to each other. I think those are both amazing creepypastas, and you should check them out. The Dark Somnium did a recording of 10 Little Scumbags, and it was one of the best things I've ever heard in my life. And please go listen to it. It is amazing. But yeah, in terms of creepypastas, I'd say those are my favorite. Nobody asked for my favorite authors, but if I had to give some, Dale Drake. Just Dale Drake, he's amazing. Anyway, next question. Favorite Pokemon. This is the best question I think I've been asked. As adults, nobody asks you who your favorite Pokemon is anymore. You just show up to work and they start telling you what to do, and it's a little bit depressing. But my favorite Pokemon is Mimikyu or Gengar. I know, horror channel, your favorite type is a ghost type, not surprising. But Mimikyu is prime time Pokemon. I think he is the perfect idea of what Pokemon should be. Cute and a little bit scary. So yeah, I also love a Pokemon backpack plush, so shout out to Mimikyu. Is there a particular type of story or style that you look for in your videos? And if so, what is it? P.S. I love your videos and I can't wait to see your channel grow. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. In terms of style, I think it really does depend. First story or first person perspective styles are always fun to look for, and I guess I kind of look for those the most. In terms of style, I guess it really does depend. Sometimes I'm looking for a supernatural story, sometimes I'm looking for more of a people being scary story, and I guess it just depends on the genre. Sometimes it's cosmic horror, sometimes it's just normal monster in the woods horror, sometimes it's creepy stalker horror. I don't know. I guess it really just depends on how interesting the story is. And outside of that, I don't really have too much of a goal in mind when I find stories. So I hope that answers your question. If not, I'm so sorry. I know that was a really incoherent answer. Next question. What got you into narrating stories and how long have you been doing them? I'm rooting for you, man. I know you'll make it big. Thank you. Again, thank you so much for the support. It means the world to me, literally. Every time I get a comment like these, I like tear up a little bit. I've been doing stories for 7 years, since I was 12. I'm currently 19. I started this in middle school and I graduated. I think that should go I think that should go to show how long I've been running this YouTube channel for. I have most of my videos from a long time ago privated because it's just not the type of content that I do anymore. I mean, it kind of is because it's me narrating stories, but it's not the type of stories that I narrate now. And also, I was recording those at like 12, so they're not good at all. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while. Trust me. But yeah, got me into narrating stories. I answered it kind of earlier. Just me wanting to be able to listen to stories later. Me wanting stories that didn't get as much recognition to get recognition, and me wanting to bring stories to life also. When I read stories, my mind is like constantly going off with sound effects and visualization of what would be happening for the character in the world that I'm currently involving myself with. So it kind of is more so me putting the mental image of what I'm reading out into a video format and less of anything else. So yeah, I guess that's another reason why I narrate stories, to help bring the story to life even more than the narrator already has. Yeah, I like that. What's my personal favorite story that I've narrated? Last question, by the way. Last question that I got. My personal favorite story that I've narrated. That's a good one. I think The World is Ending or Dear Abby. Both of those questions are phenomenal. I love those stories so much, and I had a lot of fun recording them, and I had a lot of fun messing with the sound design. If you haven't checked either of those stories out, pretty please check them out. I think they're some of my best work in general. I had a lot of fun recording them, and they really allowed me to experiment in a way that I hadn't been able to experiment before with anything that I recorded before them. So yeah. Also, I think The World is Ending is also my longest story that I've ever done, and I did that in one take, and that's the last video that I did on my phone when I just used iMovie to edit. And I think it turned out pretty good considering the limitations. But yeah, I guess that's it for the Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I've never done a video without a script in front of my face, so I hope that I was able to freestyle this video together pretty well. I hope that editing me makes the video visually and auditorially more interesting than just hearing me yap at the screen for like 16 minutes. But yeah, I hope that helped you guys get a little bit more, a better view of the person that you're listening to and the type of person that I am. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Horror video, just me reading a story, will be coming out in the next couple of days. We will see. But yeah, thank you guys. I need to find out a better ending for these things. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.